In this video, I'm going to share 5 tips on how to cope with racial trauma. I'm Heather Louise and I'm a mental health counselor, and I create videos on all things related to mental health and adventure videos with my boyfriend. So if you are interested in that type of content, don't forget to click subscribe and stay tuned for more videos. But in this video, I'm going to talk about 5 tips on how to cope with racial trauma. If you have not seen my last video where I talk about what race-based trauma is, I will leave it up in the card so you can click up there and you will get to learn all about racial trauma. I just want to clarify on what I mean when I say cope. When I say cope, I don't mean, you have to put up with anyone calling you a racial slur or putting you through this sort of trauma, turning a blind eye to it. I definitely do not mean anything like that. What I mean is how to take care of yourself. Because I know some things that go on in this world are completely out of our control, unfortunately. And this type of trauma has been around for a very long time. And I know that causes a lot of terrible feelings inside. If you clicked on this video, I'm sure that you may be feeling angry or frustrated, hurt, depressed, maybe even feeling ashamed or having some sort of paranoia. And I do not want you to live feeling those things for the rest of your life. That's really unfair to you. So in this video, I just want to help educate you on some healthy coping skills on how to take care of yourself when going through this sort of trauma. And I also think it's really important to address some ineffective coping skills that unfortunately some people use in order to cope with this trauma, because a lot of people just don't know what to do. And some ineffective coping skills that I've noticed that some people have done, and I even have done myself, is to socially isolate from others or just really avoid certain type of situations. And that can really, increase feeling depressed, because if we're just staying in the house all day or not really going out there and letting ourselves be vulnerable to get to know other people, because we just distrust a lot of people or fear that something might happen to us, then that's really unhealthy, and it's just going to prolong the trauma even further and even more damaging than it really needs to be. And I know also another ineffective coping skill is some of you might turn to alcohol or drugs to cope with it, because we just don't know what to do, because a lot of things, like I said, are just completely out of our control, unfortunately. But that's really not going to be good for us long term as well. So I just want to share these 5 tips on how to take care of yourself. The first tip that I have for you is to stay off social media and limit your news intake. And this one can be difficult. I know it can honestly be difficult for me, because I do consider myself to be addicted to my phone. So at times I do just scroll and just see things, that are just extremely upsetting. And I just want to say that I'm definitely not saying that you should never watch the news or you should never be on social media, because that wouldn't be helpful either, to not know what's going on in the world. But definitely to limit your time being on social media or subscribing or following people who report those traumatic events that truly upset you. So, if you just want to set a time each day where you know that you are intentionally going on social media or turning on the news to view those type of events so you can stay up with the things that are going on in the world, that's perfectly fine. My second tip is to speak up for yourself. Now, I just want to say a blanket statement: make sure that you are in a safe environment. If you are out somewhere and a group of people are just, obviously saying something that is just extremely racist, make sure that you get yourself out of that situation. But if you're in a workplace, or if you're around someone who has said something that offends you, that is based off of race, some sort of microaggression maybe, then make sure first that you are calm. So if you have to leave that situation, go to the bathroom, walk away, and take a few deep breaths. Maybe call someone that you trust and talk it out with them. But once you are calm, take the time to pull that person aside and let them know that what they said wasn't called for and it hurt you, and really explain how you feel. And if they're open to it, if they're apologetic, you're going to have to be the bigger person and say, okay, this person apologized to me, and if it happens again, then obviously limit your time away from that person. But a lot of times people don't know what they're saying is extremely ignorant, unfortunately. So if we don't take the opportunity to teach others about race-related things that are just extremely ignorant or extremely racist, then it's going to continue this type of trauma. My third tip is to go to therapy. And I know a lot of us might not be able to afford therapy, or don't have the resources for therapy, or maybe not even feel like a therapist can honestly help you, which I honestly don't blame you. If you are not comfortable with going to a therapist, you can always make sure that you talk to someone else about this, like a trusted friend, or maybe even some sort of leader in your community. So yes, check the facts. This one is extremely important because a lot of times we might just be really sensitive to these certain type of events because maybe it happened before. Maybe you went somewhere at a certain location and something like this happened to you, where someone, you felt like you were discriminated against, and you go to that location again expecting the same type of experience. Or it could be a number of different type of scenarios as well. But make sure that when something does happen to you, or you think that you experienced a microaggression of some sort, that you take the time to, okay, let me check the facts. What exactly happened? What did this person say? How did that make me feel? How did I deal with those feelings? Am I just maybe overthinking the situation? Did I even reach out to the person to ask them to clarify about what they said? And I'll also leave a resource down below that will help educate you on how to check the facts. Make sure that you build a positive Black identity, and this goes with basically anyone. It's really important that you take the time to make sure that you love yourself for who you are, regardless of what you look like, what age you are, what skin color you are, because that will really help it if you are to go through something like this. You remain steady in who you are and do not let anyone change what you think about yourself. I will also share some steps on how to create a positive Black identity, because I really do think that is really important, and it is really important to not let anyone, just break you down on certain type of words or any type of experience that you might have had. That I'm sure it might be some racial discrimination, and it's unfortunate, but don't let that shape who you are or define who you are, or feel like, no one likes me, or I'm not good enough, or anything like that. So again, if you are interested in that type of content, don't forget to subscribe. And also, if you have any other tips on how to cope with racial trauma, leave it down in the comments and let me know. Thanks for watching.